Hey people, welcome to the channel. It's like the 5th time I try doing this video because I want to be fair. Most of all, I want to be fair with fellow YouTuber Avenger1, right? Huge combat changes. They listened! Exclamation mark. Star Citizen Tech Preview. Shilling? Question mark. That's the honest question I have. Again, it's a question mark. I don't know for sure. I have very strong suspicions. I have very little suspicions about CIG's intention. CIG only cares about making as much money out of this as possible, and the only compromise they make is up to the point where they feel that players will just turn around and leave. Other than that, monetization is the only thing they only care about, up to the point that it really makes you question where this thing is going, right? One of the worst things that had happened in a long time is the combat has become crap. That's why Avenger1, and he says it himself, allow him to speak.
But today is much different. If you have nothing nice to say, don't say it at all.
Avenger1 says, if you have nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all. And that's why he was quiet for months. Now he's not quiet anymore. And he's super excited. I'm actually quoting him on that. I think it was 3 supers that he gave these changes, these huge combat changes about this. Guys, let me explain this. I have no problem with Avenger1 or anyone else making money with YouTube. I do it too. Not because of this channel. For those of you that don't know, I do YouTube with other channels because what I do is preparedness, survival, firearms, this sort of thing, the geopolitical. I use my platforms. I have 260,000 subscribers in one channel, 80,000 subscribers in the other. That's what I actually do in English and Spanish. I use it to promote my work, to promote my books, which by the way are these, which you will have links there below if you want to learn about this sort of stuff, surviving the economic collapse and street survival skills. Yeah, some of the best-selling books of survival and preparedness in both English and Spanish, those will be mine, all right? Stuff that you learn in firearms training, in classes, things that are very expensive, thousands and thousands of dollars, many years. A lot of, people think that people don't know, like, do you have any idea how expensive it is to feed that thing back there? It is super expensive. Unless the government is paying for it, right? Which then you have to pay a price set for another video that's maybe even higher, in other aspects. But anyway, all of these things are expensive. I read about this stuff and share it. Ideally, best thing if you want to learn how to properly shoot is taking classes in a good facility with a good instructor, which some of them are not really that good. I don't have a problem with that. Another example, let's say a company says, hey, I consult with individuals, and companies are like, no problem. You pay my fair share. I'm more than happy to help you out with your inquiries or what you're working on, designing knives for military manufacturers that make freaking bayonets and stuff like that for countries. All good. I love this stuff. A company like this one, right, sends me flashlights for reviewing. I get emails like these every single day from different products. Usually I'm not interested because I don't find it interesting for myself or for the viewer. So no, every once in a while, oh, that actually does look like an interesting product. Send me a few of those. I'll check it out. And I use it, I carry it, I check it out, or I just give you my honest opinion just out of the box, which I'm perfectly capable of doing at this point. And yeah, I think it's interesting. This would actually be a good example, right? Little Wuben G5 flashlight. You know what, dude? It has a bunch of features that I find very interesting. Yeah, send me a bunch. I'll promote it. I have them for selling in the video that I do from the affiliate program, so you get a small cut. I'm explaining things for people that are not in the YouTube world, how all of this works. Now, I'm not going to compromise my reputation that took decades to build. I'm not selling that for a very, a lot of money. No, I don't care. My reputation is worth a lot more than that. So I'm not going to promote something that I don't believe in, right? This is where the Shilling thing has to be taken into account. Are you being honest and transparent? Are you just promoting something because it's in your interest? I have a couple questions here, in that regard. In this case, my assessment was correct because it's now the best-selling flashlight in Amazon. Because of me? No, because the product was really good. So I was right about saying, yeah, it's probably worth you considering it and maybe buying it for the price, 20, 25 bucks. Yeah, give it a shot. It's actually pretty good. Boom. It's the best-selling one. This is not Shilling. You're not being dishonest about your relationship with the company or the product. You're just, or what I do with my books. I got an email from a guy in Ukraine, right? you know what, we're going through a very tough time here. We would really could use this, your book. It would be like, I would like to make a Ukrainian translation where it would be not commercial, right? And I explained to the guy, dude, I get it. You're fucking fighting Russians in trenches. Of course you could use the information on how to fight with guns in a manual. That's great. But understand this. I do 99% of what I do is for free. It's on YouTube. You can watch it without spending a single cent. The only thing I can actually make money of in that regard is selling these, right? If I do a non-commercial version, you're basically working for free. And not only is that, first of all, it is impossible because that's what I do. That's my job. It would be like you showing up to work and not getting paid because you're doing a non-commercial work. You're not getting paid. You're not living out of that anymore. It's also not what professionals do. Professionals charge for their work. I have no problem with doing that myself. I have no problem with Avenger 1 consulting with CIG. Okay? So he had nothing to say for a very, very long time. Now he does have something to say. So let's check it out because we are more than happy to learn good news. And the good news and the huge changes are actually limited to this, which is...
And what they've done is they've reduced ranges for all guns, size 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, to less than 1,300 meters. Size 5 sit at...
That's the change. That's all there is. So I understand that probably a lot of testing went around, and probably Avenger 1 was. For those of you guys that don't know, Avenger 1 is like a PvP guy, maybe the best. Dude, I don't know about all of this stuff. I know that he does that PvP. I know that at some time he had like classes and training people on PvP. Again, dude, good for you. I mean, do very well. Become a freaking millionaire training people on how to fight PvP and Star Citizen. You're not screwing anyone over. People know what they're doing and engaging with that, and if people wanna, that's fine. Now, the huge combat change is very much this. It is limited to reducing the range of the guns. All right, and he explains that this simple change
around 13, size 4s probably around 1250, size 3s are around 1200. Two things. One,
so what is it this does?
You're fine. But now it's going to force fighters to do two things. One, they're going to have to engage in a space that they can also receive damage on, which is something that I have been begging CIG to understand. And now they've done it, which is going to force fighters to do two things. One, take passes, which means they're going to engage at less than 1,000, get damage on, and when they receive damage, they're going to fly away and come around for another pass.
Avenger 1. Again, I try to be super respectful. If I had him face to face, dude, we call that jousting, remember? I know that he knows that word. I fucking know that he knows that word. He knows jousting. And what he just described is jousting. And what jousting is exactly the thing that CIG told us they wanted to avoid. CIG said, we have to stop jousting. We want to, we have such beautiful ships. We don't want you speeding fast like this. No. We want you stop jousting, just float one in front of the other and actually look at the beautiful ship we made. Okay, that's a nice bowl of bullshit, but I would expect better from him. It's jousting. You're going to joust the shit out of this, and it's not what they said they want to do, and it's not really what we like speed. I know that he likes speed too. I know that as well. He's a PvP guy. He wants to go fast. And for the jousting stuff, it was very simple. You just got better. It was a skill problem. I'm not a PvP guy. I barely scratch a little bit of PvP here and there. And I barely am good enough so as to kind of end up on top on most unintentional PvP or griefing. That's kind of it. That's not because I'm any good, as you probably saw in many of my videos. That's because usually most other players suck a lot more. But the PvP community, like Avenger 1 and those guys, they focus only on this. This is all they do. Now, fuck, this is a game that's supposed to be about space and exploration. This is not supposed to be Fortnite in space. I get it. He enjoys this aspect, and this apparently benefits him in that.
Or they're going to have to get super, and I mean super close to the multi-crew ship, where it's almost basically sitting on top of it, and orbit the enemy ship at a range that the turrets have trouble tracking because they're just so close. So you're either going to be really, really close, or you're going to take a pass, bang, 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 take some damage, and fly away. Okay?
Jousting, okay. This is going to take forever, and the way he plays and what he enjoys doing, which is PvP, and he mentions it in the video, which I'm not going to play entirely, go watch it from his channel, let's send some love over there, is, you play with an org, you play with 3 or 4 guys, and all, but it was super boring because we would go 4 of us with our light fighters, which are meta, and no one could touch us, and was boring. Now we are forced to get closer. Okay, dude, that works for you. But you know what? For the rest of us, it doesn't change a goddamn thing. We still don't. In fact, we don't have the speed. In fact, this is what changes it in terms of a big ship. For example, many players, and I'm talking about the enormous majority of players which are not sweaty PvP guys. This, why? If I have a Corsair, if I have a Connie, I have a big ship, slow, I'm not flying around with a light fighter. I want to have those big cannons and that big armor. And the light fighter for PvE allows me to engage. The most fun I've had in this game was like with beacons. You would go with your Corsair or with your Connie and engage with big ships or small ships, and if you had a little bit of skill and you had that bigger ship, you could engage with both small and big ships and actually win. You would fight a couple of hammerheads and actually win, and you would make money. It was fast and it was fun. Now it's slow as shit and it's boring, and the tiny little ass light fighter always has to be meta because of this, right? And it's fucking killing this. Now, there's no real solution because, as Kamural says, they cannot have the engine work at high speed. The engine just does not work with this amount of players in the server. They cannot have us fly as we used to. Now, personally, I would rather go to 317. Give me back 317. I don't give a flying fuck about how many people are in the server at the same time. Neither do 90% of the players. But for these guys, we have more people, and we can say we have more people playing along, and everything slows down. And not only is everything slowing down because we cannot have an engine that is actually capable of, we don't have the other stuff besides PvP in the game that we should have. And the way in which we keep all of that hitting is slowing everything down to the fucking minimal possible snail pace. Time to kill takes forever. Time to fly takes forever. We fly slower than ever. Shape combat takes for a fucking million years unless you're with your buddies from your org, which 99% of us don't. And our ships are crap like now. Like with this sort of thing, why is it that the cannon from the Connie is basically kind of in the same range as the light fighter? You know how this should really work? And, even Avenger 1 should admit this. Dude, 4 and 5, that's for big ships. That's for Connies, Corsairs, anything that's big. Those should be big cannons that have a lot of range and allows players, especially in PvE, which is what most people do, is I have the advantage of range. I'm shooting us with a fucking... And this works in the real world as well, both for ships, for whatever it is. Even with what I know, which is guns. You cannot have a snubby 50 BMG revolver. You need a big-ass heavy Barrett for doing that. Now, the Barrett with 50 BMG is going to shoot at 3 fucking miles and do a giant-ass hole. But I cannot shoot that thing in a tiny snubby revolver. I'm basically making an exaggeration here, but there's no snubby little 50 BMG with 6 shots and I'm actually shooting it. It's not a thing. Hell, it's not a thing even with those things. That's a Colt Python. Beautiful gun. 6-inch barrel, very accurate. Not because it changed the intrinsic accuracy of firearm itself, but because of the distance in your sights allows you to make a more accurate shot. Now, a great shooter will shoot accurately with anything. But if you go for like GIGN Super's French Special Operations, they realize that in their Manur MR73, the most accurate barrel was 5 1/4 inches. Not 2, not 4, not even 6, 5 1/4. I'm talking about things, but the point is, there's no reason why a light fighter should have a size 4 or even more ridiculous, a 5 size gun. These should be in heavy, big ships that you go in slower, right? You move around, not as slow as it is now, as it used to be in 317 when I feel was the peak of fun. When this guy was making money training players to know how to fly. which I'm pretty sure he's not doing anymore, not nearly as much as he used to, which sucks for him, you know. But he talks about having...
So there is a specific bonus to the ship only getting some of the issues with the flight model fixed. And it makes me very... will be moving in this direction. Duration of the flight combat.
He says that he cannot talk more because he has NDA signed and whatnot. I assume he's working for CIG at this point, you know. Now, has he disclosed that he works for CIG? No, he doesn't work. He has signed NDAs, you know. Oh, but that's what the Evo Caddy guys do. Do you really think this guy is just your average Evo Caddy? Dude, if you're not charging for consulting for CIG, you're a damn idiot. You're working for free. He has to be working for CIG, which is great. Be honest and disclose that. But also, in case of what we care about, guys, this is really not making a huge, massive difference in terms of 99% of us. This maybe benefits the sweaty PvP guys, but the rest of us, we still don't have not nearly the experience that was possible before. Folks, see you later. Take care.